Recording now. Wildcard weekend is over, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Breaking and Entering podcast. Just gonna get right into it. Looks like for most part, the more physical team won the matchups of these wildcard weekends. A lot of blowouts. There's only like one or two close games that I can think of off the top of my head, but definitely wasn't what I expected for the most part. But let's get to it, man. Brandon, how you doing today?
Doing well. How about yourself?
Another day, man. Happy my team won. Can't wait to get into it, though.
Yes, sir. Let's look at this opening drive, everyone. The Falcons defensive coordinator, Jimmy Lake, he's been let go after one season. New England, they have a new head coach. The Patriots hired former Titans coach Mike Vrabel to serve in the same role. He also played with the team as linebacker during their Super Bowl dynasty in the early 2000s. Mike McCarthy, he's out as Cowboys head coach. Two sides didn't come to an agreement for contract extension. NFL Network reports former tight end Jason Witten is a candidate. ESPN reports Jerry Jones and Colorado head coach Deion Sanders, of course, former Cowboy as well, have talked about the vacant head coaching position in Dallas. He did tell ESPN on Monday night that he's happy where he's at. Eagles linebacker Nakobe Dean, he'll miss the remainder of the playoffs with a knee injury. Packers corner Keyshawn Nixon, he says he doesn't want to return kicks next season and says he's focused on being their team's number one corner. Packers quarterback coach Tom Clements, he's retired. He's the only person to coach Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, and Jordan Love. Deontay Johnson, another day, another dollar with him. He's been waived by the Houston Texans after only 2 games with the organization. Steelers have signed former Dolphins quarterback Skylar Thompson. Browns have promoted head coach Tommy Reyes to offensive coordinator, and Ravens Hall of Fame safety Ed Reed, he's been hired as an offensive coordinator at his son's high school in Georgia.
Gotcha. Let's get into this first matchup of the weekend. The Texans beating the Chargers 32-12. Starting the game out, it looked like the Chargers were going to get up and get ahead of them. They drove down the field, got a field goal. First 2 drives, they drove down the field pretty good, but ended up with field goals. Texans a little sloppy to begin the game. I know Joe Mixon, he lost a fumble. The sort of like towards the end of the first half, it kind of like the momentum shifted a little bit. I saw CJ Stroud. He connected with, it might have been Xavier Hutchinson. I can't remember exactly who it was, but they had a long drive, 99-yard drive basically. And they scored a touchdown to get a 7-6 lead to go into the half. And for some reason, the way CJ Stroud looked after he made that throw, I was like, okay, this game might get interesting. From the last show, one of the things I wanted to see from CJ Stroud was him running the ball. And that's exactly what he did. He had 6 carries, 42 yards. He ran when he needed to and gashed them. And then I remember back in the day, I don't think you mentioned a lot this year, but previous years you talked about Justin Herbert and basically how you really didn't trust him. And this is one of those games where it did not look good for him. I mean, 4 interceptions. I can't remember the player. I think it was a 1995 season, the last time someone threw 4 interceptions for that franchise, but definitely wasn't a good game for Justin Herbert. Sloppy game a lot of the time, a lot around both sides of the ball. For both teams, but in the end, that Texans offense and that Texans defense, went out there that second half and dominated. Pick 6. Even when the Chargers did do something good, Herbert connected with Ladd McConkey, who was about the only bright spot out there for the Chargers, who had that, I think it was one about 88 yards on the touchdown. The very next play, the kick point after the touchdown was blocked, and the Texans ran it back for a 2-point conversion. I was like, damn, can't get any worse than this, man. It was a ugly game for the Chargers. They weren't able to run the ball. Joe Mixon, on the other hand, for the Texans, he had a great game. He did lose a fumble, but other than that, great game, over 100 yards and a touchdown. So great win for the Texans. They proved me wrong. I thought the Chargers would win this, but I was happy to see the Texans win. Like I said last week, I like C.J. Stroud a lot. And I do like this Texans team. They got a tough matchup against Kansas City, but the way that defense is looked, and I don't want to say CJ Stroud's turned a corner, but he definitely look better, more comfortable, look like kind of like how he did his rookie season, where he's just slashing the dice and doing his thing out there. So good win for the Texans. Brandon, what are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, just a few thoughts for me when it comes to this game. Turnovers, I mentioned it before this game. Herbert, he had only thrown 3 interceptions all season long. I thought that the team with the less mistakes would win, and that's what ended up happening. Herbert, he had 4 interceptions on Saturday. You mentioned them as well. C.J. Stroud took his team on his back in the second quarter, and he never really looked back after that. Houston, they have really good young corners out there, 2 of them. We always hear about Derek Stingley Jr., especially in the last couple of games of the season, including 2 interceptions on Saturday, but as well as Kamari Lassiter. He's a solid defensive back as well for them, heading into this Kansas City game next weekend. But yeah, Texans need to show up their offensive line just a little bit, but they definitely shocked me with this victory. I had the Chargers going in there and beating them. I think a lot of people did. So good for the Houston Texans. And yeah, this is actually, I think every game, every wild card game in Texans history, they played that Saturday early window. So maybe that's good luck for them. They seem to do good there, at least the last couple of playoff appearances last year as well in that early Saturday, wild card Saturday. All right, everyone. My Ravens, we sent our division rival Steelers packing Saturday night after a 28-14 win. I think we should have played Hit the Road Jack. They played that against us in the playoffs at Heinz Field when it was called that years ago. It was in the 2008 AFC Championship game. It was cold that day. It was a long night for us. But the tide turned Saturday night at the bank. Dominant first half. Henry had 100 yards on the ground. We had 309 total yards at half. It was the first time we shut out an opponent in the first half of a playoff game since Super Bowl 35. Our first championship there with the Ravens. We dominated time of possession in the first half, and we scored on 3 long touchdown drives. One of those drives had all running plays. Literally, every single play was on the ground. Not to mention the monster stiff arm by Derrick Henry on Minkah Fitzpatrick on our first touchdown drive. Just a great looking first half, man. I was very pleased with what I saw there. But then after halftime, Pittsburgh made a little bit of halftime adjustments, came out with a 98-yard drive out of halftime. Russ hit big chunk plays to Calvin Austin, Mike Williams, Van Jefferson got the first score for them. They were on the board. It was 21-7 at that point. I got a little bit nervous there. We came back and scored on the corresponding drive. We had a trick play, direct snap to Derrick Henry. Excuse me, he had a little bit of stiff arm on Patrick Queen, but I think nobody on that defense wanted any parts of him. Went on that, definitely on that run there. He was just like, it was like 4 or 5 defenders trying to close in on him, and you just see him gone off to the races for the touchdown. They scored again on their next drive. They came out a little bit of hurry up offense. It was 28-14, I think, at that point, but it was just a little too late for Pittsburgh and the Steelers at that point. It was a dominating win. We imposed our will on both sides of the ball in the trenches. Our offensive line, they kept T.J. Watt, Cam Hayward, and those guys in check. T.J. Watt did not have a single stat, come up on the final box score on the stat sheet. I mean, that's just how impressive they played. The entire offensive line, the tight ends that were chipping on them, the backs that were holding, protection, and of course LJ doing his thing, getting out of the pocket when he had to. Special teams was solid, and so was the coaching. So yeah, just a great all-around win. Everybody was talking about, how our struggles against them in the playoffs, our struggles against them recently. Besides, I think it was week 15 or so, week 16, whatever time we played them recently. And of course, they talk about how Lamar can't win in the playoffs, this and that. But for this game, this past Saturday, we got it done. So Ravens fans, we can, definitely be excited about that. Looking forward to a big game in Buffalo. To be a rematch of Week 4. We played them in the bank last time, but we'll talk more about that Friday. How were your thoughts of this game?
Yeah, man, I mentioned at the start of the show a lot of physical games. This is one of them that I was thinking of. Y'all played smash mouth football. Y'all ran it right down their throats, basically bullied them As you said, man, it was the one drive where basically y'all just ran the ball the whole damn possession. Y'all almost doubled them up on time of possession. So y'all were on the field, y'all offense was on the field, and their offense was rarely on the field. I mean, y'all had 39 minutes in time of possession to their 20 minutes of time of possession. So y'all definitely did y'all thing out there, man. Very impressive win. George Pickens, after the game, they were interviewing him and basically asked him if he was optimistic after the season. He basically was like, nah, even though he thought the passing game has improved some. So wonder how that will look for them going into the offseason the next year, if he's going to be there or not. But yeah, great win for you guys, man. Lamar Jackson did his thing. Derrick Henry, I'm sure you're glad you have him on your team now. I know
Yeah,
preseason, all season last year, kind of like, we'll see how it goes. But pretty sure that stamped it for you guys and Derrick Henry doing this thing on the scene. Definitely, hopefully, can repeat that type of performance against the Bills next week. Definitely looking forward to talking about that next Friday. But yeah, definitely a great win for you guys this weekend against the Steelers. Russell Wilson didn't play bad. Just y'all offense, man. Steelers defense, Cam Hayward, no guys, they couldn't do nothing with you. And I was kind of surprised by that. But hey, smash mouth football. Y'all pose their will on them, man. So great win for you guys. Before we get started with the next recap, this episode is brought to you by Premium, a CBD and wellness, health and wellness company. Check out their line of CBD infused products, which are perfect after workout refuel for athletes, a pain reliever for weekend warriors, and even a natural sports drink for us armchair quarterbacks. Their featured product is CBD infused honey, which is a personal favorite of mine, as well as tinctures and mint and natural flavors. They are veteran, women, and minority owned, so come get some of this sweet hemptation and taste the premium difference. Use code B&E for 15% off your order. Their website is premium.com. And now let's get back to our show. The Broncos put it on the Bills 31-7. To start this game, Bo Nix came out, got that long touchdown pass. I think it was to his former Oregon teammate and wide receiver Troy Franklin. But pretty much after that, it was the Bills show. Another physical game where, one team was way more physical than the other. Bills basically dominated the Broncos from early in the first quarter into the rest of the game. I mean, Broncos couldn't run the ball. I think the leading rusher for the Broncos was Bo Nix, if I'm not mistaken. But Bills could do whatever they wanted. James Cook, he had over 100 yards at halftime, basically. I think he had like 116 yards at halftime, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, man, Bills could do whatever they wanted. I was going into this game, I was thinking, Broncos had a good season, but they're going up against one of the top dogs, and it's basically he's going to show that. And pretty much what happened, man. I mean, Bills. At first they gave me some hope. Like I said, when they had that first touchdown against the Bills, I was like, okay, maybe something will happen. And after that, I mean, they had that nice fake punt that Sean Payton called, where the punter threw the pass to one of the receivers and the left gave him some more, gave him another chance, but they didn't really do anything with it. I think they went 3 and out or 4 and out on that, the very next drive. So, I mean, just one team was better than another. One team was more physical than another, and that was the Bills over the Broncos, who will face the Ravens, as like we both mentioned the previous segment. So, Brandon, what did you think of this game, though?
Yeah, real quick, congratulations to my guy, Jim Nance with CBS. It was his 500th career broadcast. He's called several Ravens games. He's one of my favorite, along with Iron Eagle there with CBS as well. But yeah, looking at this game, these two quarterbacks came in, gunslingers, man. We saw what Bo Nix did against the Bengals a couple weeks ago. We saw what Josh Allen has done all season long. Yeah, Bo Nix, as you mentioned, he hit Troy Franklin on a 43-yard touchdown. They got on the board first. I remember taking a nap, and I woke up, and literally as I was waking up, I saw the pass in the air, and I'm like, okay, this is about to be a touchdown. Sure enough, it was. Then, third quarter, 4th and 1, Buffalo at the Denver 24. Allen, he rolled out to his right. He threw a strike to Ty Johnson. It was kind of a low pass. It was a great play by Ty Johnson for the touchdown. He's kind of sliding. He kept his feet above, the white chalk on the backside of the end zone. Yeah, great play for them. Buffalo, man, they're dangerous. For years we always thought, what could this team be with a running game? And now they had it. They've had it all season long. You mentioned the play of James Cook in this one. They performed really well against a stout Denver defense. Denver's defense definitely has been playing good all season long. Um, Josh Allen, he put the game away though in the fourth quarter. I think it was the first play there in the final period. Hit a crosser to your boy Curtis Samuel, former commander, and he did the rest. He did the rest. He was off to the races there for the touchdown. I thought Denver would have made a little bit more game out of it, but rookie quarterback on the road in a place like Buffalo, the crowd was in it. I don't think the weather had too much impact it, but yeah, that was my only doubt. How would this, how would Bo Nix show up? Started out good, but it didn't end good. So yeah, Buffalo is on to the next round. Denver, I think, will be around definitely next year as we look forward to that during the off season.
Yeah, definitely. Bo Nix definitely ran into a wall. His receivers didn't really help him out either. There was some drops. Cortland Sutton dropped a pass that was costly, and so did another receiver. But yeah, Bo Nix definitely had his wake up moment. Welcome to the NFL moment in these playoffs right here for sure. All right, next matchup we got is the Packers over the Eagles beating the Packers 22-10. I wish the Packers beat the Eagles, but no, it was the Eagles beating the Packers. Another physical game. I remember the play. I want to say it was Quinion Mitchell who pretty much laid the wood on Jaden Reed, knocked him out of the game. Christian Watson, of course, was out of this game with torn ACL. Jaden Reed went out, and then Romeo Dobbs, he went out with a concussion as well. I believe one of their linemen got hurt early in this game too, because I can't remember the guy's name, but it seemed like it was like consecutive plays, or it was like a false start or a holding or something going on. And they got that replacement lineman out of there, and another guy came in. It was just very bad, very ugly game for the Packers. Overall, I would say it was like more of a defensive game for both sides. People want to say Jalen Hurts was a little rusty. I mean, looking at the play, you can kind of say that, but looking at his numbers, I mean, 13 of 21, 131 yards, 2 touchdowns. I'll take that, especially in a win. So, and then of course Saquon Barkley, he did his thing. But like I said early in the show, physical game. Philly was way more physical than the Packers. There were some bonehead plays on the Packers side of the ball. Wink, wink. TJ Slayton, I think his name is. And then you were talking about Keyshawn Nixon earlier, how he's focusing on just being a corner. I was shaking my damn head reading that. I was like, dude, yeah, you better focus on that. Oh, my God. When I was watching this game, I was like, man, really, man? Come on, dude.
Yep. First play.
Oh, my God. So, yeah, man. I mean, congrats to the Eagles. I don't know what's up with A.J. Brown, man. I know Jalen Hurts and him tried to cover things up, say they're good, but I just don't know, man. Him on a bench reading a book, acting like he LeBron James or somebody who likes to read books or pretend he's reading books anyway. But yeah, man, good win for the Eagles. They go against the Rams. I think that's going to be a good matchup. We'll see who's more physical in that game. But yeah, what are your thoughts on this game?
So the overall outcome is what I thought it was going to be, but I just thought Green Bay would have made a little bit more game out of it. Turned the ball over 4 times, Green Bay did, including that opening kickoff return. Only bright spot, honestly, in my opinion, was Josh Jacobs. 18 carries, 81 yards, and a touchdown. Philadelphia, I didn't think that Jalen would be rusty heading into this one. As you mentioned, he had 2 touchdowns, 131 yards. He got a lot of help from that running game and the defense as well. But again, he got the ball in the end zone, and it accumulated to a win, and that's all that matters. Philadelphia, very tough team to play at home in the postseason, and we saw there again why. Great win for the Birds. They're on to the next round. Green Bay, they have some work to do. They're not that far off, but they definitely have some work to do. All right, everyone, this game must have been really good. I didn't hear a thing from Ed after 5 p.m. Eastern time. Pacific time on Sunday. Give us your thoughts on this one.
I'm not going to lie to you, man. Going into this game, I really thought we were going to lose, so I wasn't really expecting much as the game went on. I mean, honestly, Chris Collinsworth, he didn't even get on my damn nerves. I I kind of was at one point. I was kind of like agreeing with what he said because he mentioned early. He was like Terry McLaurin's the best contested ball catcher in the league. I was like, you got that down right. Okay, Chris Wallace, I'm rocking with you right now. So I mean, going to this game, man, I was like, well, we had a good season. Like I mentioned last week, I just hope Jaden Daniels comes out unscathed. But the legend of Jaden Daniels continues to grow. He's about to get to that mama, there goes that man status, as my man Mark Jackson used to say on an NBA broadcast back in the day. Man, this dude had to do it all, man. Passing, running, he was a leading rusher, only 36 yards, but everybody else didn't really do too much out there. I did get some good contributions from Austin Eckler, and I don't want to say anything bad about Brian Robinson, but when a play needed to happen, it was mostly in Jaden Daniels' hands. Dyami Brown, salute to you, sir. You came to play. Haven't really heard your name much this season, but you definitely showed out this game, man. Big catches, third down catches. I think he had a touchdown too, if I'm not mistaken. But man, Terry McLaurin. I mean, what do I gotta say about him, man? I mean, Scary Terry doing his thing. He's got that signature celebration now, or he's like, "You see me now." The defense. I said Mike Evans was going to do his thing. He pretty much did do his thing. But other than that, the Tampa Bay wide receivers really didn't do too much noise. I want to give Marshawn Lattimore credit. I mean, Mike Evans can do that against anybody when he's doing the touchdown. I think he had about 5 catches for about 80-something yards, if I'm not mistaken. But just overall, good game. Now the kicker, Zane Gonzalez, when it was time to go down the field, after Jaden Daniels, had that great one on third down against the breaking the tackle of Kalijah Cansey, was pissing me off. That was one thing. Let me take that back. There was one thing I was getting kind of pissed about. Kalijah Cansey was interrupting Jaden Daniels. I think he was talking a little smack to him too, and that was kind of like, all right, man, can somebody pancake this motherfucker or something for me, please? Because he started pissing me off. But back to the kicker, man. He getting out on the field. I didn't know he had OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. So when I first saw him, fixing his hair about 15 times in a row, I was like, oh my God, this dude is nervous. Is he about to miss this kick? I was just like, Lord, please don't let us do this. Please don't let us do this. He dunked it in, and we got the win, man. I got to give some credit to the premium brand right here, everyone, because this definitely kept me cool, calm, and collected as I was watching this game, man. Like I said, Chris Collinsworth didn't get on my nerves. I was watching this game. I was just watching Jaden Daniels doing his thing. I was like, man, we really got this dude hopefully for the next 15, 20 years. I normally 10 to 15, but hopefully we get him for 15, 20 years. That's how long hopefully he can play football. But you got the Lions next week. I'm just happy, though. First playoff win since 2005. I'm trying to think back. 2005, we were both in high school calling each other clowns, going back and forth about the Ravens and Washington back in the day. So, man, great win. We got the Lions next week, top seed at Detroit. Magic Johnson, I need all the magic you can give us. Salute to my guy Bobby Wagner too, because there was another thing I was pissed about. It wasn't really his fault. It was more of the momentum, but it kind of looked like Baker Mayfield trucked him. But at the same time, he was getting tackled in the back by one of the defensive linemen, and I think that momentum, along with him going into Bobby Wagner, just made it look like he trucked Baker, or Baker made it look like he trucked Bobby Wagner. But he kind of made it up on that one costly mistake that kind of helped us win the game when Baker fumbled it on. I don't know if he was going to hand it off to Jalen McMillan, but, he dropped the ball, and Bobby Wagner was able to get in there and snatch the ball away. And that was one of the keys that we got to the victory, man. So salute to the Commanders, man. Y'all proved me wrong. Beating the Buccaneers. We live to fight another day. Going against Detroit, man. Brandon, what are your thoughts on this game?
So, yeah, I ain't see much of this one, but looking at the recap, I think y'all's defense was the difference between week 1 of the regular season and the wild card game. Bake, he was held under 200 yards passing and only 2 touchdowns. That's a low for him, someone that was among the league leaders in passing yards and touchdowns throughout the regular season. And their run game was held in check as well. I mean, they got 100 yards total, but, the way that Bucky Irvin's been running all over defenses, for most of the season. That's pretty good for y'all. Dommy Brown came alive, as you mentioned, for your offense. Just another day for Jaden Daniels and Scary Terry. Don't even really have to talk about them again. But yeah, y'all fans deserve this. Honestly, years of losing and misery, bad ownership, coaches, quarterbacks. I think no matter what happens next Sunday, y'all should be proud. I know y'all are. Honestly, you definitely got a bright spot there with your quarterback. Like you mentioned, probably for a good, well over a dozen years. Looks like good win for the Commanders there.
Yeah, salute to all the former Washington players that paved the road for this to happen. Patrick Ramsey, Jason Campbell. I remember the nickname you used to call him back in the day. All those guys, man. Salute to Efeyana Oholate, my Washington fans out there. If y'all might remember his name. But yeah, man, salute to you guys. All right, let's get into this game last night, Monday Night Football that was placed in Arizona. Rams putting a whooping on the Vikings 27-9. I said it the last show. We got to see how Sam Darnold looks. He basically returned to normal, seeing ghosts. He was sacked about 6 times in the first half. And honestly, there were times where I thought he could have ran, just take off and run with the ball, man. But he was trying to make something happen and stayed in the pocket a little bit too long. And before you know it, he got sacked. Rams, they were playing inspired football. I really think that the situation with the wildfires that ran rampant through LA, Southern California, definitely had an effect out there. I was watching interview Cooper Kupp had before the game. He was basically talking about it as well. But the Rams went out there and played inspired football and pretty much put a whooping on the Vikings, man. I mean, whatever they wanted to do, it looked like they could do offense and defense side of the ball. Matt Stafford looked great again. That offensive line looked great. Kyron Williams was able to run the ball. Tyler Higbee, the tight end, was their leading receiver in this one. So great win for the Rams, man. I don't really have too much to say about this game. It's just a dominant win in my opinion. Sam Darnold, I'm pretty sure now that we see these last 2 games, I think the Sam Darnold experience in Minnesota is over. I could be wrong, but I think they'll probably just look to move on with J.J. McCarthy next year unless he's still not healthy dealing with that meniscus injury. But Brandon, what were your thoughts on this game, man?
Yeah, Los Angeles definitely put on for their city. So many people thought this Minnesota defense was going to lead the way for them throughout the playoffs, but Monday night it was the Rams defense that showed up. 9 sacks on Sam Darnold, tied the most in the playoff game. The most, I think, it's 4 overtime since they've been, keeping track of stats, probably since the 50s, 60s, give or take. But the most since 2021 when my guy Joe Burrow was taken down 9 times against the Tennessee defense. Shout out to the Titans in that one. But yeah, I told y'all in the previous show, Minnesota, they only lost to a pair of teams during the regular season. That was week 7 against the Lions, week 8 against the Rams. It was back to back. And it's kind of ironic because week 18, they lost to the Lions. It was just reverse order. And then the wild card to the Rams. So yeah, good win for the Rams, in a tough circumstance, having to go on the road in your division rival stadium. Kind of what maybe they've been given 4 or 5 days, to get everybody out of Los Angeles, families and everything there. And they really, from start to finish, had control of that game. So good win there for the Rams, and they'll be advancing to play the Eagles next week. Looking forward to that one for sure.
Yeah, I won't be surprised, honestly, if the Rams make a run and beat the Eagles next week. The way they came out there looked against the Vikings. Don't get me wrong. I mean, Sam Darnold did come back to earth, but a lot of that had to do with the Rams. So I won't be surprised, but we'll talk about it Friday.
For sure. All right, let's give out some player awards from Wildcard Weekend. Offensive Player of the Week, I got Josh Allen, 20 for 26, 272 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had 46 yards on the ground, and give honorable mentions as well to a pair of former Commanders, Jahan Dotson and Curtis Samuel. They both got an end zone for their respective teams. Who's your Offensive Player of the Week?
I got to give it to Chargers wide receiver Ladd McConkey, 9 catches, 197 yards, and 1 touchdown. I'm going to give it to him as my Offensive Player of the Week. He was pretty much the only bright spot for the Chargers that game.
Yeah. All right, to the defensive side of the ball, I got Derek Stingley Jr., 4 tackles, but 2 interceptions. I think he just had a game with double interceptions just a couple weeks ago. I think it was the game, probably one of their last regular season wins down there in Houston. I think he sealed a win as well. But yeah, 2 interceptions for Derek Stingley Jr. Who you got?
I got Derek Stingley too. I also want to shout out who you mentioned earlier, Kamari Lassiter, who had an interception as well, and he had a big tackle as well too. He's making some big plays in that game too. So I agree with you. I got Derek Stingley as my defensive player of the week. Kind of want to give a co-defensive player of the week to Kamari Lassiter too. They both play really good out there.
Got 2 great corners down there. 2 young corners as well. It's good. Hopefully years to come down there for Houston. All right, special teams. How about D'Angelo Ross? Fourth quarter, he helped the team put away the game. He had a block extra point attempt. Somebody else blocked it. Him for the Houston Texans. He scooped it up, took it back to the house for 2 points. D'Angelo Ross, how about you?
Another player I'm gonna give the player award to in a losing effort, but I'm gonna give it to the punter for the Broncos, Riley Dixon. He had 4 punts, 48 yards, average, 2 inside the 20. But he also had that trick play where he converted on fourth down when he threw the ball to I want to say it was Troy Frank. I could be wrong about that, but maybe it was Jaleel McLaughlin. I can't remember exactly who it was, but I know he did have a trick play where he threw a 15-yard completion to keep the drive going, although it didn't lead to much. But give my Riley Dixon punter for the Broncos my special teamer of the week.
Bonehead play, call, or move of the week. I got Mike Tomlin. Game is well out of reach within the 2 minute warning. Just when they came back from commercial break. I think we took 2 kneel downs and he took 2 timeouts. Why? Why are you doing it? Like, there's no chance in hell y'all was coming back from that one down 14 points inside the 2 minute warning. I see what you try to do. See, he liked to do that stuff when he played in Baltimore. Like, we played him Thanksgiving years ago, and he was out on the sideline talking about something. He didn't see or he lost track of the sideline. That's my guy. I love me some Mike Tomlin, but he do some shady stuff sometimes. So that's my bonehead move of the week. What about you?
Yeah, I kind of winked at it earlier, mentioned it earlier, but TJ Slayton of the Packers, my bonehead player of the week, had a roughing, wasn't roughing, an unnecessary roughness call. Him and another player had Saquon Barkley wrapped up pretty much, and then he kind of threw him on the ground after the whistle. You guys are down at that point. Could have made a stop, but you kept the drive alive. They were able to go pretty much put the game out of reach. It was 10-19. They kicked the field goal, make it 10-22. Who knows what could have happened? And you're going to go on sidelines and complain and all that. I'm like, come on, man, get your head in the game. I mean, I think they even mentioned it that their coach is like, you got to play smart, keep your level headed, don't get too emotional out there. As soon as they say that, here he goes blowing the gasket, losing his damn mind. Like, come on, TJ Slayton. I kind of want to give it to Keyshawn Nixon too, just because what you said, mentioned in the opening job, talking about how he want to focus on being a number one corner. Man, shut the hell up. Oh my God, I'm sorry. I'm just mad at the damn Packers the way they lost against the Eagles, man. Oh my goodness. But yeah, TJ Slayton, you my bonehead player of the week, man. Salute.
So with that, the first round of the playoffs is in the books. Got 4 games next weekend, and the number 1 seeds, Detroit and Kansas City, they'll both return from their bye weeks. Ed and I will be back to preview those divisional round games. Please give us a follow on X, formerly known as Twitter, Podcast B&E, and on IG at the B&E Podcast. Until next time, love one another.